Mystical hieroglyphs, mighty pyramids, imposing statues. Although the era of ancient Egypt dates back many centuries, the inhabitants of the legendary kingdoms of the pharaohs still have an unbroken appeal for us today. There are great mysteries that still need to be solved in this regard, which is just as exciting as the knowledge that we have already been able to gather about everyday life in ancient Egypt. What undiscovered mysteries still lie dormant in the world-renowned Necropolis of Saqqara? What is it about the magnificent long-lost Golden City? The sensational discoveries that archaeologists keep making in Egypt allow us to directly look into days long past and solve some of these fascinating historical mysteries. These fascinating discoveries will give you a glimpse into the world of the ancient Egyptians and the numerous mystical artifacts and ruins that have successfully resisted the gnawing ravages of time. Lost Golden City. If we turn back the hands of time to around 3,400 years ago, we will find ourselves in an epic city that still puzzles experts to this day. At that time, the pharaoh Akhenaten decided to give up his religion and the former capital, Thebes, to build the city of Akhenaten and become the city's ruler. He ruled together with his wife Nefertiti and founded a mysterious sun cult. What motives could have made the pharaoh take such a drastic decision? The answer to this riddle may be hidden in the ruins of the legendary Golden City, which was rediscovered in September 2020, in light of the surprisingly good state of preservation in which the remains of the magnificent village were found. The entire professional world went into a frenzy upon this discovery. In fact, experts have called the discovery of the city ruins the biggest sensation since the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb. In detail, the Golden City was built during the reign of Akhenaten's father, Amenhotep III. That epic discovery describes a chapter in which ancient Egypt was in a real heyday. This was a time of extraordinary luxury, wealth, and power. Although the excavation of the site is still in full swing, researchers have already discovered some incredible artifacts, jewelry, amulets, ceramics, and numerous everyday objects. These discoveries foreshadow the priceless treasures that may yet lie within the remains of the Golden City. The buildings also give us an authentic insight into the everyday life of the ancient Egyptians at that time. Archaeologists have discovered houses that workers may have once occupied. A few of the discovered buildings include a kitchen, a bakery, administration buildings, and even a burial ground with burial chambers carved directly into the rock. After Akhenaten had turned his back on the flourishing town for whatever reason known to him alone, the Golden City later seemed to have been used again by Tutankhamun at some point during history. The subsequent ruler must have valued the city, which represented the prosperity of his empire so well. In fact, some findings suggest that the town was inhabited until the 7th century AD. The city was then left to its own devices for many centuries before it recently saw the light of day again. Huge ancient statue. A few years ago, a team of German and Egyptian archaeologists in Cairo made a discovery that was as unexpected as it was fascinating. The workers there unearthed the parts of an imposing 8-meter-long statue covered in mud and had previously eluded the curious gaze of modern times for countless centuries. The oversized structure that was believed to represent Ramses II was recovered in the former Heliopolis. In the ritual belief of the ancient Egyptians, this ancient site was an incomparable place. Thus, the denizens of the pharaonic kingdoms were convinced that this was the place where the world had once begun many years ago. In addition, the mythological court of justice of the sun god should have been located in the same place, but Ramses II, in whose honor the massive is believed to have been created, also played an unforgettable role in the rise of ancient Egypt during his 66-year reign, which still makes the venerable pharaoh one of the longest-serving heads of state in the world. Egypt experienced an unprecedented cultural and economic heyday that no subsequent ruler could match. In addition to the 8-meter-long quartzite statue, the archaeologists also discovered the remains of a life-size limestone statue, which probably depicts Pharaoh Seti II, who was the grandson of Ramses II. Giant ram's heads. The recent discovery of 3 giant ram's heads near the Temple of Karnak in Luxor showed researchers just how adept the ancient Egyptians really were at the intricate creation of their objects. The oldest remains of these sacred sites dates back to the 12th dynasty. This era, also known as the Middle Kingdom, existed between 2137 and 1781 BC. The Karnak temple was initially dedicated primarily to Amun-Re, who enjoyed a special position within ancient Egyptian religion as the sun, wind, and fertility god. However, the temple complex was constantly expanded and rebuilt well into the Roman Empire. The ram heads which were found recently were likely created by the Ptolemies. They were members of the Macedonian Greek dynasty that ruled over Egypt and many other areas for almost 300 years. While archaeologists only came across the massive ram heads during their excavations, the stone skulls were once part of a much larger statue designed to resemble the world-famous Sphinx. The huge figures once adorned a magnificent avenue made up of over 700 figures, connecting the Karnak Temple with the Luxor Temple complex. The experts' plans envisaged carefully restoring the ram heads and placing them on the appropriate bodies. A few days after this astounding discovery, the archaeologists had the next sensation, discovering a cobra statue once atop of the ram heads. Treasures from the past. Thonis was one of Egypt's most important seaports after Greece. However, there is no trace of the once vibrant trading center because Thonis finally went under due to several catastrophes in the 8th century AD. The fact that the ancient Egyptian seaport is now 10 meters below sea levels shows that the term sinking, which is often used as a metaphor, could be taken literally in this case. In detail, the exact location of Thonis was uncertain for many centuries until the year 2000, when experts were able to locate the ruins of the bay of Abu Qir. The rediscovery of Thonis marked the genesis of a comprehensive archaeological investigation and salvage work. The first sensational report realized that the Egyptian Thonis and the Greek Heraklion were one city. After many valuable artifacts had already been recovered from the sunken port city, which was once stretched across several islands, the researchers recently achieved the next archaeological sensation as part of their work. The experts discovered the remains of ancient Greek burial mounds. Particularly noteworthy was the fact that many remains of burnt materials were found around the 60-meter-long burial mound. Through this, the experts concluded that this place must have once served as the setting for many spectacular ceremonies. This is also indicated by the magnificent offerings recovered in the site's immediate vicinity. In addition to the precious, luxurious ceramics, it was, above all, a few wicker baskets which immediately fascinated the archaeologists. In fact, despite being 2,400 years old, the basket still contains grape seeds and the remains of the fruits of the dome palm. These unique artifacts leave no doubt that more and more Greeks settled into Thonis and started building their own places of worship over time. Sensational finds in Saqqara. Suppose we look at the everyday life of the ancient Egyptians. In that case, one central aspect must not be neglected: the pronounced burial cult of the dwellers of the pharaonic kingdom. Hardly any other site is as representative of the ancient Necropolis of Saqqara when it comes to gaining an authentic insight into the elaborate burial rites of influential ancient Egyptian personalities. According to this, the famous UNESCO World Heritage Sites house, among other things, the oldest pyramids in the world, the Joseph Pyramid. Even to this day, new secrets are regularly salvaged from the tomb of the necropolis. One of the most astounding discoveries in recent history was the discovery of a tomb of a queen who died around 4,200 years ago. For a long time, however, experts could only speculate the true identity of the ruler, but recently, the breakthrough finally came. The researchers discovered the queen's name carved on the wall of a mortuary temple. Now, we are aware that this is Nate, the wife of the pharaoh Teti. The fact that the experts had never heard of this name before reminds us of the importance of such discoveries for general history. No less fascinating was the recent discovery of 50 wooden sarcophagi and the discovery of a large limestone sarcophagus. Saqqara's archaeological treasures also include a mysterious papyrus scroll that explains in detail how the soul of a deceased person can reach the afterlife.